Alright, so welcome back to another video where in this video we're going to try to finish up our node application for our Flask web interface. So first of all, thanks for helping me or having this channel to hit 50 subscribers. This is a huge and substantial milestone. And then really guys, you guys here, really hope you guys can stay and then take a look at my videos or just chat each other if you want to. There's a Discord channel if you want to join, link down in the description down below. But anyway, just thank you for all these 50 subscribers. And then thanks for people who are watching actually. Thanks for all of you who's watching this video right now. But yeah, so back to what I was talking about. So today's topic is going to finish our OAuth application. And then the reason we're going to do this OAuth thing is because we're actually going to eventually implement multiple interface, but only use one database. Maybe eventually we're going to use Electron for desktop, React Native for some mobile application and stuff like that. And then, but that will be another story. Okay, so again, just a quick recap what happened in the last video, which is we did this authorized post part. Essentially, what this part is going to do is going to be the post is because a user, if it's first time user with this page, which then user try to authenticate with this app, which then they need to manually click on button. And then we're going to store that into our database, and then they don't have to click on next time. So this is the post part, and then let's implement the get part, which is a little bit more interesting. But here is the client ID. So first, we still need to get the client ID. And then here we're going to get the app as well. So select star from apps where client ID equals ID. ID is client ID. Dot fetch all. And then here we're going to say if length of the app is equals to 0, that's when we don't have this. We're just going to return a string says invalid client ID. Alright. Now what we can do is we can do this. If session.getUserID, so now we're checking is a user can log in right now through our session. And then if so, we're gonna create what we call a user app. And we're not actually gonna create one. We're gonna see if we have this user app, which user app, just as I said, is check historically whether this user has authenticated with this app or not. So user app where app ID equals to app ID. And then app ID go to app 00 dot fetch all. Alright. And then here you're just gonna say if length of user app equals to 0. Here's what we're going to do. We're gonna return our templates and you can call this authorize.html. And the authorize basically just gonna be a button which user can click to authorize them. And then what we could do after we rendered it is we could do this. Let's see. So after it returned authorize.html, gonna generate a random code. This is for the OAuth code part. So okay, so basically what's gonna happen is this gonna be the OAuth code that they're gonna do. So they're gonna generate a new OAuth code like in this post part, but we just directly generate get, which then later they could use it to get an access token. So in here we can just say while true, infinite loop, not really, c.execute, select star from OAuth code where code equals to code is code dot fetch all, And then here, just gonna say if length of this equals to 0, we're just gonna say break. So basically what's happening here is we're checking do we have the code or not. If we don't, which because it's randomly generated, we must make sure there's no duplicate, or so then we can just say pass and then break out of this loop. So we can keep going. And then here we can say something like this. Can put this code in here. And then once it break out, means this code is unique now. And then here you can just say insert into. So I'm just gonna copy this part. Since it's gonna be the same. And then it's gonna be indented. Since this is for whoever has that. Log in. Make sure we commit the message. Alright, let's see. Okay. Alright, so then what we can do is return redirect f string. So now we could return this, redirect them to the application. And then what we could do is this. So this is basically the part where it's authorizing and then doing get. And then here is where I'm going to do is if the user isn't logged in, we're just gonna say this. So we're gonna use the f string. You're gonna say login. And you can explicitly provide a next. Basically, it means we're gonna redirect to here after it's done. And then so next is /authorize, and then client ID equals to client ID. Okay. All right. So let's see. All right. Good. So now what we're going to do is you're gonna implement the part where it get the access token. So here is how it's gonna work, because after they have this code, what they could do is it could get an access token, and then they could use access token to actually like manipulate with data. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna implement as a route. I'm just gonna be /access token. Message allowed is only going to be post. Alright, and then here you're gonna say underscore app. Let's see. Oh. Okay, that's gonna be an issue if we're using app variable, because we're now like keep redefining it. Okay. Now it's definitely gonna be a trouble. I guess I'm just gonna change it to application. Application, I guess. So now we don't need to worry about the error that's gonna give us. So let me see would this work if we just change it to oh, okay. Yeah, because I forgot about that. I don't think it's absolutely needed, but just in case, because since we're like using app, we get it. So like when we doing the OAuth part, so just and then we're trying to redefine it. Maybe it's gonna break our application, so we're just gonna do this. Oops. Shoot. Application. Alright, should be done. Alright, there we go. Now we don't need to worry about that. And then here I can say this. Select start from app, where client ID equals to ID and client secret equals to secret. Then I'm gonna say ID is request.form.getClientID, And then I'm going to say as well as secret, which is going to be request.form.get secret, client secret. The reason we're using request.form is to keep in mind that we're trying to using post. Request.arg is not going to help. Post is going to do the job. And then here we're going to get their code, which is their OAuth code. Alright. And then C is request.form.get code dot fetch all. Okay. Length of code equals to 0 to return invalid code. And then here we're gonna say if length of app equals to 0, gonna return invalid client ID / secret. Alright. So basically we're checking, do we have all these required stuff or not? So like, is there all credentials that they provide are true? Otherwise, if it's true, then we're gonna do this. We're gonna generate an access token, which is, again, this reason we're using this infinite loop is we're checking for duplicates. Not likely for us to have duplicates, but just for a design's perspective, just gonna add this duplicating checker. Token equals to T equals to token dot fetch all. And then if length of underscore equals to 0, gonna go ahead break. Otherwise, so we're just gonna say c.execute delete from OAuth code. So the reason we need to go ahead and delete it is because it's already used. We cannot let them use twice. And then notice that we actually didn't implement another important part is timestamp, which basically have timestamp for everything. Since we're just gonna keep it simple for now, we don't have timestamp. And then conduct commit. And then finally, here's what we're going to do. We're gonna insert this access token to our database. So whenever the client's application actually uses token, the database will be able to recognize it. Values. AU code 0. T is token. Dot fetch all. And then wait. I'm not sure I'm adding dot fetch all here. I'm just gonna delete this part. Let's see. Okay. Conduct commit. And then in order to make the user be able to read it easier, import JSONify. Basically, it's a way to return JSON data in Flask. And here, just gonna say return JSONify. Okay, so the token equals to token. All right. So that's all we got here. And then finally, we're gonna implement one example API. For example, okay, so now what will happen is assume everything implemented is okay. Now the user will be able to like actually authenticate. So I mean the application going to be able to actually run. So now here's the interesting part is going to implement API called user, and then in here is where we're going to get the token. It's going to be request.headers.get authorization. And again, .split token because the user will provide a form header token with their access token here. So we need to split the token, and then gonna get the bracket one. And then in here, we can do is t equals to c.execute select star from tokens where token equals to t, and then t is token. And then dot fetch all. fetch up. Alright, so if length of t equals 0, now I'm gonna return JSONify error equals to token not found because it provided wrong token or incorrect access token. And the user ID gonna be 0 t bracket 0 bracket 1. Oh wait, just a sec. Oh yeah, we get this token because I forgot to explain this part, so sorry about that. But token is essentially gonna have a user ID, and then basically once the program obtain an user ID access token, it needs to know which user it belongs. It cannot just do whatever, right? It cannot, like, if it has user ID's number 1's token, cannot get users number 2 stat. For example, so that's why we're storing user ID here. So user ID equals this, nodes equal to c.execute. So start from nodes where user ID equals to ID. Let's see. ID is user ID. I'm gonna say .fetch all. And then finally, we're gonna say return JSONify user. So basically, it's gonna give us a list. Just gonna JSONify it and then return the data we need. And then of course, okay, we don't have to get a syntax error. All right, that's good. So now here's what's gonna happen. I'm not actually going to show this in this development server. Let's see. Oh shoot, users. So select start from users. Okay, so I'm not actually gonna show this in this development server because I want to finish it today. So I'm gonna show you basically this is all the code that we write. Again, the actual source code is going to be available at GitHub, link down description down below, which I add some style and then finish the authorization that HTML. I'm not gonna implement that. So here is what we're going to do. I'm gonna say, go ahead, open up my terminal here. And then here is what I'm going to do. Okay. So sorry if it's too small. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. So I'm just gonna open this up. Now you guys already know my name now, so there's really no point for hiding it. Alright, so I'm gonna run this application and I'm gonna show you a demo for this application. So let me go ahead and run this. I'll keep it short because if I actually implement everything, it's gonna be really long. So that's like basically it, but still some code you need to find on the source code. But okay, here's my Google client, the client secret. I'm gonna change it, of course. So, and then here I'm just gonna say port Flask debug just in case. So I don't think I should get any error because I tested multiple times. And then I'm gonna do this. Okay, so here is what are we going to do. We're actually going to implement a response as well. So you can see it's much more nicely organized. We got navbar, we got a little button that's what we're gonna click on. And that's like gonna create new applications. I'm just gonna use this demos application actually. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder. Okay, so now here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say make dir. I'm gonna say cd YouTube, make dir. No, oh, okay, I actually have this. I'm gonna just show it then. Code notes OAuth demo. So I actually made it beforehand. So I can work through this code a little bit as well. And then probably gonna finish deployment in the final video, and then we can go on other stuff if we want to. Alright, let's give it a sec. I'm glad my computer is not that laggy today. Still kind of laggy. Okay, there we go. Alright. Okay, so now I can see here's what's gonna happen. I got my client ID and client secret generated. beforehand, and then I got my code. So again, we only have one route. Okay, we only have one route. And then this basically is whenever user authenticated successfully, they're gonna get to this code, this route, and then we're gonna obtain an access token, which you guys will use r.text, not r.json, because this time I'm returning just in plain text as a token, and then I can just get then I can send to API, set my authorization header, and then return JSON. So now if I just say Flask run, should be fine because it's run on my port 3000. Address is already in use. 3000 is already in use. I don't think so. This is running on port 5000, so this should be able to run on 3000. Or not. Okay, let's just do 2000 then. It's in use for some weird reason. Let's give it a sec. Okay, cannot run this for some reason. Okay, come on. Oh, okay. Alright, I think I had to do this. I had to run this using Python then. Can't run. Okay, then I can change to 3000. I cannot change it. I can't use export because that's like by default. Alright, there we go. So I'm just restart. So make sure it's 3000. Sorry about these porting stuff. Alright, Python 3 app.py, here we go. So now let me show you how the OAuth process look like. Because the implement in OAuth is not that hard. So now if I go here, by default you should see some sort of error. But in my, so now this is my actual server, so actual like after I finish everything. So I'm going to, because it said token not found, so don't need to worry about that just yet. And I'm just gonna use this. So again, to authorize, you can go to authorize client ID equals this, and then you have to explicitly state redirect URI as well, just for double check purpose. And then if you run this, now I can give back a code, and then we can use this code to obtain a letter and access token, which it's not appear here. It shouldn't be. There's just a temporary code, and then it shows all the data. This is my user's information. And then, but if I try to refresh, you can see now the token not found. It's because this code now is invalid. Okay, that's the easiest way to implement an OAuth server. So it's like OAuth in a nutshell. Not sure is it actually how it's being implemented in industry. Pretty sure not, because industry should be much more complicated and secured than this. But for this video, this is about it. Thanks for watching. And then we finish our OAuth part. And for our last part, we're going to deploy this to Heroku or to Glitch, or yeah, maybe to Heroku, because Heroku is much more professional. Now, since Glitch is not professional, just because Heroku can support much more services. But yes, so thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give me a like, subscribe, and then again, we'll launch a super surprise when I hit 100 subscriber. But for now, thanks for watching. Stay safe and have a nice day. Bye bye.